there's a big need for love. You're not going to be successful without love, but there's a huge need for discipline. How does that factor into that person you interviewed, right? He's all with it. Whatever's going to get him out of jail, he's with.
Yeah.
But once he gets out of jail,
Yeah.
then it's going to take some things. And how does that work?
Yeah, man, I get this question all the time. Like, man, you ain't no street dude, man. How you deal with a boy that's shot 10 folk and robbed 15 people and gang banging?
Just this conversations. We talking back and forth like it's just us in conversation. Let's start the conversation. It's just my observation. They run this nation with hatred like we not one creation. Maybe we all in the matrix. I need some confirmation. You feel these streets getting hotter like it's summer vacation. Just this conversations.
Every year, I see boys step into courtrooms carrying pain they never learned to even name. Some are angry. Some are scared. Some are already convinced they have been written off. But every now and then, you meet someone who steps into that gap and refuses to let another young life collapse under the weight of silence or circumstance. Today on Justice Conversations, we sit down with one of those leaders, a mentor, a builder, a lifeline for thousands of boys and families across Metro Atlanta. Gary L. Davis, Sr., founder and executive director of Next Level Boys Academy, is doing phenomenal work in the city of Atlanta. I hope you enjoy the show. Well, first of all, thank you, Gary Davis. Welcome
man.
to Justice Conversations.
Thank you, man.
Man, I gotta get deep for a second.
Okay.
So I'm 60 years old. Probably for about 43 of those, I realized I was a black man. And I realized what that meant in America. And since then, since I was about 17 years old, I've been on a journey that involves not only me as a black man, but all of us. And I truly believe that we will never achieve world peace, his will on earth be done, until we have unity. And in this country, we will never have unity until the country addresses the black man. It has been the problem of this country since its founding. And to achieve unity, we got to address it. And then that will flow, many things will flow from that. You're addressing it. Yeah, you are addressing the thing that the world seems to have forgotten, man. What is motivating you to do this, and how did it come about?
It's necessary, man. I think it came about, I was working for the state of Georgia in special investigations.
Okay.
And I quit my job the year that former President Barack Obama was sworn in.
Okay.
That day he was sworn is the day I quit my job. Was ironically, I think my office may have been maybe 5 miles from here.
Uh-huh.
And so when I quit my job, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So it took me about 3 months. I just took about 3 months off. But I knew I had to, whatever I had to do next, I had to involve my sons. So I had 2 sons. I was recently divorced.
How old were they?
At the time, when I started the program,
Yeah,
when I started the program, my oldest son was maybe 12, and my youngest son was probably 7.
Okay.
And so I took how the program came about. I was coaching Little League Baseball.
Ain't nothing like coaching, man.
Yeah,
That's
so
like the Lord's work at its highest degree. Anyone who coaches knows what I'm talking
I
about.
coached Little League Baseball. I coached both of my sons, but my youngest son baseball team, we were at the World Series in Tennessee.
Right.
And
Yeah, some ballers there.
while we were in Tennessee, I said, you know what? I'm going to take this group of young men back to Atlanta and start a summer camp. So I started a summer camp with those 10, 15 young men in 2009.
Okay.
And then the next year I implemented an after school. Then I did a rites of passage. Then I did an athletic program. So I implemented different programs each year, which landed us to what we're doing now, the diversion program. So to answer your question, man, I just try to do what's necessary. I'm a pastor's kid.
Okay.
And so my dad is a pastor. My brother's a pastor. Both of my sister's husbands are pastors. I don't want no church, man.
But this is your ministry.
So I decided to do ministry a little different. So this is the ministry I decided to go with.
I respect it. Roll up your sleeves
Yeah,
and let's get to work, man, on
Yeah.
these young men.
absolutely.
So where are they at? How do we reach them? What's going on?
As far as the young men,
Yeah.
I think, man, I think what it is the issue with a lot of young men is we have a family dynamic issue.
Family dynamic. Okay.
So, what's happening is the elephant in the room is the issues way before the issues are happening with the children way before we get to know what the issues are, which starts with the parents.
Gotcha.
And when you look at the young men nowadays, man, they're all trying to figure it out. I would say all of this is a result of lack of dads in the home, man.
Yeah.
I think that probably play about 80% of the issues that will happen.
Wow.
So if we want it fixed, I think we will have to start with getting dads involved in their sons' lives.
Yeah. The black man, the older black man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever it's happening with him.
But where are they?
They exist, jail, grave, out here somewhere. They exist.
The thing that I'm always curious about is, you say you're 60 years old, so you came in that era where grandparents played a heavy, important role in our lives, right?
Mhm. Not for me, but go ahead.
I mean, so you don't have that now. So you have 50-year-old grandparents and 55-year-old grandparents, 40, grandparents in their 40s. So this generation and maybe the generation before this, they are missing those levels of supervision that kind of went away in the late 90s.
Mhm.
That's when people start moving to different cities, to get a better life. Because when you look at the issues that you're having with young men in the Atlanta and the metro area, very seldomly are they committing crimes with a cousin. So there's no more family dynamics, man. So they're going out, trusting the wrong people and meeting the wrong people. And next day, man, you're facing 20, 30 years in prison. But all of it boils down to family dynamics, man. We don't have that anymore.
Wow. How do you get the participants in your program?
Yeah, so the program you're talking about is our diversion program, which is it's an alternative to incarceration for young first offenders. That's ages 17 to 25. We have some juveniles. So the way it works, if a young man has committed a crime for the very first time, he has no cycles, no criminal history, the lawyers reach out and say, hey, I got this young man in the program. I got this young man. I heard about your program. I got this young man that may be a good fit. My very first question is the family involved? Because what a lot of people don't know is mentorship is good, but it's pretty much a Band-Aid, right? And the way that Next Level Boys Academy is structured, the family has to come to the class with the kid.
Okay.
So we're building back to this family dynamics thing. So we're building these family dynamics to give this young man a sense of security, a sense of hope. But the lawyer calls. When the lawyer calls, I have a lot of information. I meet with the family in person. Once they get on board, I go to the jail and interview the young man. I do what I call an integrated summary, where I spend about an hour with him at the jail. He get to know a lot about me. I get to know a lot about him. And then I give him this plan, like this is what you're going to have to follow, which is a 12-month commitment with multiple levels of supervision. So you got classes 3 times a week. Then you have a mentor that you got to meet with twice a week. Then you got court obligations. You got probation obligations. So in that period of time that I'm meeting with him, I'm able to assess, can he commit to it? But before I meet him, there's a family dynamic that has to commit to what we want to offer. So then we go to court. The attorney puts me on the stand. I testify, advocate on the young man's behalf. Most judges, because, and it depends, I mean, you've been in the legal field for a while. If there are great attorneys out there that's put together a great defense and have identified a program that's reputable, that has a great reputation, they know the ins and outs of the program, they're likely to allow a young man to come to us instead of prison.
Would be eager to. I mean, real talk, like the criminal justice system isn't made up of judges with cigars who go back in a room and say, I want to destroy the black man. It's made up of human beings, many of them who would love to do something different, would love to try to go about putting a defendant at that point in a program that will change him. They would love that. So I can get that the judges are receptive to that.
Yeah, and you should operate. So you operate off of integrity, right?
Mhm.
Because one thing that I do know is that judges, ADAs, solicitors, they don't send people to prison. Laws do.
Mhm.
So the human side of it is the easy part. It's just me going into a courtroom supporting Donovan Johnson versus the state of Georgia.
Man, the first time I saw you,
Okay.
I'm walking out of a courtroom and I started hearing this voice and I said, "Who's a good lawyer, bro? Who's this lawyer?"
Okay.
Right? You was at
Okay.
the podium, you were doing your thing, and I was like, "Who's this lawyer?" And I was like, "Man, if I had a second, I'd try to hang out, but I couldn't hang out." Next time I see you, you're in the pillars, the audience, and you're again standing up and you're kind of doing your thing. And I was like, "Man, I got to find out more about this, man."
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I'm not an attorney. I salute attorneys. I don't like school like that, but I have had enough, is what I try to explain to my sons.
How old are they now?
So I have a 27-year-old son, 23-year-old son, and I have a 22-year-old bonus son.
Okay.
And my lesson to them, and which I try to teach the young men that's in the program, is that you gotta live long enough to understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your best teacher is going to be life experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had enough life experiences. You look at, my educational background. So, and I'm not a guy, for the record, I'm not a guy that's been to prison or went to jail and say, when I get out, man, I'll go back and save the next black boy. That's not my story. I have college degrees. And, but I try to teach my sons and the young men that I work with is that your life experiences is what's going to be the main thing to get you to where you want to be. So I've worked over the years with therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, lawyers, judges, teachers. I was a former funeral home licensed funeral director. So I worked with embalmers and morticians. I've had enough work experience, man, that that's granted me the opportunity to stand in front of any room,
Okay.
the church, the trap,
Mhm.
at the jail, the music studio, in the courtroom. And I have to credit that to my dad, man, because my father, he never pressed us to become preachers, but he did press us to always do what's necessary.
Yeah.
And so that's what I do now, man.
Yeah. This black male thing, there's a big need for love. You're not going to be successful without love, but there's a huge need for discipline. And when you combine the two, it's often called tough love. How does that factor into that person you interviewed, right? He's all with it. Whatever's going to get him out of jail, he's with.
Yeah.
But once he gets out of jail,
Yeah.
then it's going to take some things. And how does that work?
Yeah, man, I get this question all the time. Like, man, you ain't no street dude, man. How you deal with a boy that shot 10 folk and robbed 15 people and gang banging? And I know my role, man. You got to think about this. When I meet a young man at the jail, I know I'm not his father. So I don't get involved in trying to change his life. That's not what I do. My job is to get involved in his life. And if I offer him 10 things to know, ultimately I need him to know just one thing, right? So, and I know my role. And when you're dealing with black boys, you have to be very careful because you cannot heal a heart that you didn't break.
Mm.
So I didn't break their heart. I didn't disappoint them. It wasn't me. That's a mom-dad thing. So I go in, man, and just say, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. You ain't got to do it. There's no pressure. I mean, you're going to go back to jail if you don't follow the laws or the rules or the order of the court.
Let me stop you there. Have you had to be in a situation where you said, he's not doing what he's supposed to?
Every day.
Okay.
And I think that because of what you saw and what you hear about me in the courts is I try to operate off of integrity because you got to think they're trusting me with someone who just violated someone.
Yeah.
And so I have to do what I said I'm going to do. If you're not coming, I'm going to report you. And the way the diversion program works is, and I've never worked a case with you, so you all do these things called suspended sentences, right?
Mhm.
So let's just say you got a young man who was charged with armed robbery. Now we all know if you rob somebody in the state of Georgia, and there's evidence that you robbed this person with the gun, there's a minimum 10 years, right? That's a mandatory 10. Well, the young man that was in the car is who I normally get.
Okay. Party to a crime.
So he may get an armed robbery charge, right? That's his charge. You're looking at 10 years. Well, when the diversion program comes in place, now you're able to negotiate or mediate or whatever y'all call it. Let's get this down from armed robbery to robbery, and you can probate that. So that's basically how it works.
Okay.
The only way, the purpose of diversion programs is pretty much as a great negotiation tool, and it's to lesser the charges.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. Man, when I listen to you, I hear a word that kind of runs through what you're saying. Tell me if I'm wrong. And it's accountability. It's accountability that seems to run through your message, man. Is that true? And if so, why
Ye-
does it do so?
Accountability of me being accountable or
No.
holding them accountable?
Them account in terms of the process of change through your efforts, accountability seems
Yeah,
to be at the heart of it.
so I am a accountability coach. I mean, by the way, I work with a lot of people in the music industry, a lot of people that are professionals as their accountability coaches. I work with some professional athletes.
Really?
Yes, I currently do work with a lot of them because, when you think of mentors, sometimes that doesn't sit well. That's almost like a counselor, right?
Uh-huh.
I don't need no mentors wrong with me. I don't need no counselor because men don't like to go to therapy. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But accountability coach. So when you come in as an accountability coach, that's almost like, just like I tell parents, and there's another thing, another component that we have within the organization, we have a mom support group, which means there's a group of moms that's supporting each other that's experiencing similar things. And one of the many ways that mothers lose their sons because they don't know the difference between giving guidance and punishing.
Yeah.
There's a very thin line between that. And you cannot, Black boys, specifically, mainly those Black boys that I work with, just don't like to be told what to do.
Okay.
And so I just flip it and I just give you guidance. And guidance, telling you what to do is, you better do this or else. Guidance is, hey man, this is what you can do and this what happens if you did it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a very thin line between that but accountability, back to that, yes, you do that, but it's a very, almost like a passive aggressive way that you got to approach it because, these are guys, and you know this, you've been in the field long enough, man, these street dudes.
Mhm.
So they will have conversation with me and they will learn quickly, he ain't that dude, right? So now you got to lead with love.
Yeah.
Now you got to say, okay, this is why I'm here. And then my very first question when I meet them at the jail is, what's your story, man?
Yeah.
And they give you this look. I said, I tell you what, let me give you my story. I ain't been in jail. I like women. I just can't see me just sitting around all day with a bunch. That's just me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And I've always, and I got to give both my parents who are both living credit, but I've always wanted to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm studying Black boys. At what age do they begin to want to go the wrong direction, and what causes that?
I wanted to ask you about that because when I was going through this process, I read this book by Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu that was titled Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. He maintained it was the 5th grade. I think he's even said some things that it might start a little earlier now, but he back then he was committed to 5th grade.
Yeah, so being a former school teacher, I went to college and I taught elementary school, kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
And I have said this a million times. The hardest age to work with your child from birth to he's an adult is 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Fifth grade is very challenging because that is that age where everything's beginning to make sense. That uncle that was coming in the living room is not my uncle. That's your boyfriend. Or so now you're at a point where you just can't say anything. Everything has to be a who, what, when, where, how often. So if you can, and then you're about to go to middle school, puberty's kicking in, all these things. But whoever told you that, man, or wherever you read that, I've never read that. That's always been an experience thing. From running an after-school program for boys only in elementary school for 10 years, I've seen all that, which drove me to write my first book, Raising Him Without Him.
Wow.
So I wrote a book, self-published a book entitled Raising Him Without Him that I wrote from conversations of having moms.
So somebody sees that now up on the screen. Where do they get it?
You go to our website, nextlevelboysacademy.com. I never put this book on Amazon.
Okay.
I've sold over 500 copies straight from my lobby because you got to think there are 300 or 400 people that's coming through Next Level a year.
Yeah.
So I sell a lot of them, man. So you can go on the website and it's a quick read. It's about 100 pages, flight from here to New York. You can finish the whole book. And the book basically talks about the principles of understanding your son. Boys cry without tears. They don't ask a lot of questions, but when they ask you a question, that's the first and only time that you gotta be honest.
Gotcha.
That very first question, because if you miss it the first time, it's gonna be a little challenging.
All right, so we got a copy of the book. I need it autographed.
Hey, Cole, that's easy. That's easy. Yeah, man, I appreciate the support, man. Wow, this was like very organic, right? How long you had the book?
Remember I saw you that day, it was like downtown Atlanta by the courthouse. I think I bought one then, or I bought one somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, but when I saw you that day, I knew, okay, I got to.
When did you meet me? And when did you first see me?
When did I first see you? When I told you about
Where?
in the courtroom. But when
How long
I
ago did it
meet
be?
you was about 3 months ago, maybe November. Yeah, November down. You had the mayor there
At the city hall.
at the city hall. Yeah.
So Mayor Dickens, man, was actually, and I think I may have
This
told
the
you,
book.
that's the book. Go get you a copy, okay?
All right, on the website, right?
On the website, nextlevelboysacademy.com. We even pay for your shipping, man. We'll bring it to you, okay?
What were you gonna say though?
Mayor Dickens was actually one of our mentors up
Okay.
until he ran for mayor.
Okay.
So he did a lot of volunteering there when he was a city councilman. So that's why he knows. I mean, he was in staff meetings, he was in all that. So that's why he knows the ins and outs.
So before I get to my next question, if you're someone who says, "Man, I'm blown away by this. I'd like to submit myself to be a mentor." Website again?
nextlevelboysacademy.com. And if you want to be a mentor with Next Level Boys Academy, one of the things is what the hardest part is the young men choose whether or not they want you to be there.
Okay.
So no, it's not like it's an application or just a basic criminal background check. So you will come around. And I think most guys that mentor there probably came around 3 or 4 months. And then you'll meet with your guys and you'll say, man, what do you think about your guy? Some would say no, some would say that. And here's the thing. I'm fully aware that space that we have is a group of vulnerable young men.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they may come off to be hard, but we have to protect, right? So if you got a man that's coming in there, I mean, we in a very unique city that may be recruiting, maybe recruiting a gang member, maybe recruiting somebody to, push this agenda. So our screening process and the layers of people, because none of our mentors have backgrounds.
Okay.
Like none of our mentors been to jail.
Gotcha.
So that's not anything that I don't have nothing against that, but I think we have to be very careful about the brand because, of course, eyes are always on us. Because again, man, you got somebody that the court is sending to you that they don't know you. So yeah.
So man, we're in a crisis situation, real talk. And there are a lot of mothers, let's say single mothers, who have a 13, 14, 15-year-old who isn't in the system yet, but man would benefit from your work. Do you accept them, or is you just in that particular niche? Because that niche is like the best. But I know that there are mothers who would say, man, is there a way I could connect my child to the program, but he isn't criminally criminally involved at this time?
Yeah, so the classes that we have, we meet every Saturday from 9 to 11. We have a South Side campus, we have a campus in the city. And a majority of the young men in that program don't have any cases.
Okay.
So we welcome anybody to come. And the good thing about it, the way I set it up that way, I don't separate it because they need to hear from the older guys. If you keep doing what you're doing at 13, you may end up with a case by 18.
Yeah.
So they're all in the same room, man. So we welcome.
Okay.
We welcome anyone. I would say now we average about 80 or 90 young men a Saturday.
Okay.
About 25 of those young men are between 10 and 15 with no criminal history.
Wow.
So it's a village, man. But to that mom who's raising that son, especially that single mom, whatever they call it, I want to tell you something you got to be careful with. You know, mothers they're warriors. And I think the world is fully aware of the power of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
But when you are raising a son alone, you have to be really careful with that, because what happens is women have the tendency to handle things out of a little bit more passion than men. Mm-hmm. They tie their emotions in it a little more. They're very passionate, very demanding, they're very, and so most women, not all, teach their sons how to handle a situation the way a woman would handle it. Mm-hmm. And so when he take that same approach, meeting another guy, that's why it's so much conflict, because you got this guy who's handling a situation from the perspective of a woman, and now you always hear this thing, bro, why you disrespected me like that? Bro tried me. Well, that's not two men talking. Those are two different personalities engaging, and so that's where the conflict is coming. So I just always, in my parenting group, I always say to moms, you got to get them involved with some men. We just want moms to be very careful with how they teach their sons to handle conflict and situations, because sometimes when they go out and try to handle that, it's not always, because, another question that most people have is like, why is so much violence in the community, and why is so much black on black crime? Well, it's a lot of crime. White folks shoot white folks too. But I think young men just lack conflict resolution, man.
So I had a group of boys that I coached basketball with, and we had similar types of discussions, man. And it seemed to all boil down to respect. Like, either you feel like you're not being respected, you got a different sense of what respect is. But it always seems to boil down to this, he ain't respecting me thing.
Well, and then, so the question is, why is respect so important to them?
Yeah.
I get that all the time. And you're in Coeur d'Alene. I would say a high percentage of the shootings, the ag assault cases, boils down from somebody disrespected somebody.
Yeah, I'd put 80%, bro.
Or somebody tried me.
Yeah.
A lot of this goes back to, you may ask why is respect so important to them? Because
nobody's respecting them.
Nobody's respecting them. It's something they've always wanted to have, man.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get no respect. I didn't get no recognition. I didn't get no appreciation as a human being growing up as a young black man. I just didn't get it. And I had to deal with that, but it's a truth. Yeah. We are looked upon as other. Black man has always been looked upon as other. And that is the problem in our country.
What do you mean other?
Other. Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. Go back to any of the past writers on our situation, and we're just an outsider. Outsider. Yeah, we're an outsider. We're the pariah. We're the problem. They're scared of us. Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Slavery.
How are we gonna fix it?
I think you are the answer.
Well,
I think you're the answer,
well,
bro.
man, I think I don't want to be the answer. That's a lot of pressure. And you know, man, I stay in my lane, man.
Well, your lane. Everybody got to have one lane, though. Like, we got to have a whole bunch of lanes dealing with this, and we've got to deal with the black man.
Man,
we
we
got to
gotta-
recognize him, as Malcolm X said. We declare our right to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of the human being. We got to do that with black men.
But we gotta go back and start this, like not start it over again, but we gotta go back to maybe Head Start, kindergarten. And again, I led with this.
Yeah.
It's a family dynamics issue, man. The problem with the African American community,
Yeah.
ain't no families,
But
man.
let me tell you this, man, because I done read all this stuff. 1968, President Johnson commissions Daniel Moynihan to figure out what the heck is going on with the Negro and what needs to happen with the Negro. And then Moynihan said, it's the family, bruh. And then we kind of just said, well, we really don't want to listen to Moynihan. You know, he's a white man. He might be a little prejudiced, whatever. I don't know why we didn't listen to Moynihan, but he said in 68, it's the family, bruh. And you seem to be saying today, what, 50 years later, it's the family, bruh.
It's gonna always be the family. But the question that we gotta answer, the thing we need to dig a little deeper is, why is it so hard how is it so hard? Why is it so hard not for a mother and a father to maintain a relationship? But why is it so hard for them to come on one accord, man, and co-parent their child? What's the real issue behind that? And this is not a black or white thing,
I
right?
agree.
So this is, I mean, sometimes I'll peek my head in family court whenever I'm in, you know, and hey, listen, it's just not black folk in there. But something is off when it comes to two people getting together and making a decision in the best interest of their child. Is the question that we got to figure out, because they're gonna make babies. That's never gonna go away. People going to always separate. People going to always break up. People going to always get a divorce. But why is it so difficult? Why is it so difficult to co-parent? What is the challenge with that?
Yeah.
And if you ask a man, if you ask a woman, she goes, so we're going to be here. And I don't even have an answer for that, man, because I've been
That's a
through
deep
that.
question, though, bro.
Listen, man, we can, if you get 5 women in this room and 5 fathers of their children, and just have that conversation as to, because they're gonna now there are justifiable reasons that he messed up. He's a cheater. He's just a whore. He just and he's she just won't let me. You know, so it's gonna always be that. But what is the main issue? Why can't they just come together? I want to give you a story, man.
Sure.
So when I got a divorce, when I got a divorce many years ago, it was hard. And we hate to lose. Whether it's our car keys, whether it's a relationship, whether it's directions, whether it's a case, whether it's a game, men just don't like to lose. But the hardest thing was for me to do was, you know, the woman that I went before God, and I said, hey, to death do us part. And I struggled with divorce until I had these multiple conversations with my dad, who's a pastor. He said, hey, son, I'm going to tell you this. God absolutely hates divorce, but he loves the divorcees. So when he told me that, I was like, okay, I'm about to get the hell over it. But I didn't have that disgruntled, combative ex-wife. Easygoing, calm, professional, successful, all that. But I knew there was something off with my sons. At that time, when I got a divorce, they were probably 7 and 3. Something was off. And I was like, you know what? I need to do something. And I need to have a conversation with their mother, with them there, and explain to them why we didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I did it. I remember they were a little older at the time. I think my oldest son may have been 8th grade. My youngest son may have been 4th or 5th. And man, you could see the burden lift off of them
Mm.
because they was carrying that weight. I'm gonna go back to this co-parenting thing. They had been carrying that weight of, it's my fault. I'm the reason why they're not together. This is why they'll never talk about me. This is why they never talk about what's going on, because I did all this.
Yeah.
And what people don't understand, man, is that you're not having that tough conversation. I'm not saying get with your child's parent. I'm not telling the mother to get with the daddy, y'all make it work. No, if you are not having that tough conversation with your child as to why y'all not together, they're going to think it's their fault.
Yeah. Wow. I want to shift gears, man. We live in a very, very dark period in a lot of ways. And a lot of people blame digitalization of the world for a lot of mental health problems that are people suffering, be it social media, be it other aspects of that, podcast, chat rooms, all of that stuff. But a lot of people look to digitalization and its influence on our youth. I want to get your thoughts on that. And got a particular niche that I'm in love with, and that's hip hop. And a lot of people say hip hop is damaging. I love hip hop, but at the same time, I got to assess hip hop.
Now you old school, man.
I'm very old school. I go all the way back to
I know,
hip-hop.
but is hip hop to you rap, or is hip hop to you boys the men?
Hip hop is what you dressed as right now.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing you talked about was the social media,
Yeah.
the social media, to say the least.
No.
Well, one of the ways it's damaging people, and I get this question all the time. Do you think social media damage? Do you think it's the rap music? Do you think I get this almost 10 times a month, right? Let's start with social media.
All right.
The most damaging thing that social media has done to our young people is gotten them away from reading. You don't have to read no more. You don't have to court no more. You don't have to introduce yourself no more to her if you like her. They have gotten away from the most important thing is kids don't have to read no more because everything is in a 3-second video. And if you look at it, their caption is 3 or 4 words. So it's gotten away from reading. It's affected their communication skills. And social media is a 24-hour platform. And it catches you at so many different phases of your life. You could be going through. You could be high. You could be drunk. You could just get saved. You could just backslide. So you're at so many different phases of your life throughout the day, early morning, all this, and you're right there in front of it. It's accessible. You're looking at it. It looks real. It's there for you. There's nobody around but this person. And so psychologically and subconsciously, you buy into whatever they say.
Mm-hmm.
Music, on the other hand. Man, let me tell you something. So I grew up, I'm a little younger than you. So I grew up when I'm from Alabama.
Okay, I
So-
thought so.
We didn't get a lot of hardcore. So we were more on the New Orleans, the Juvenile, the
Master P.
Master P, do it, baby, stick it, baby, do it, baby, shake that thing like a salt shaker. So I grew up off of that. So when I went to college is when Pop came out, Biggie, Tribe Called Quest. And then I moved to Atlanta in 96. And when I moved in 96, people were dancing in the club.
Yeah.
I mean, you actually could walk up to somebody and say, hey, what's your name? And can I have your number, not your IG? Social media got rid of all of that. So if you got to think about when social media started getting heavy, a lot of the young people, dance floors was removed. Now you got sections. And so now you just go to a spot and you smoke and drink all night. But the elephant in the room, man, when you talk about mental health, there's something that people have direct access to every day and put it into their system that's damaging us. And it may not necessarily be music or social media.
Mm.
I don't know exactly what it is, but I will give you an example. It may be something as simple as water.
Okay.
there's something that they are there's and this is no conspiracy thing, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Well, no,
I
that
can
would
remember really, no, real talk. I can remember thinking, there's something about this milk. I'm raising
Hey,
daughters, and I'm like, this milk. There's something about this milk.
Hey, listen,
huh?
I want to.
Conspiracy or not, speak your
I know I'm
speak your
talking.
piece.
I know I'm talking to an attorney, so I just want to be clear
Speak your
and
piece.
make this disclaimer. I'm not saying it's something in the milk, it's something in the water, it's something in the Pop Tarts, the Fruit Loops, the black ass peas. None of that. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is, it's a little bit deeper than social media and music. It's a little bit deeper than the red, the blue, the purple weed that they're smoking, right? The weed changed color. When I smoked weed, it was green. And I smoked it in white paper. So there could be something as simple as, what are they putting in these backwoods now? So whatever it is, you can't see it, or you would least expect it. Because it's almost like the addiction that these young boys have for weed. So you're thinking that they're addicted to the weed itself, but it could be the tobacco paper. You know, who told them? We smoke reefer. It was in the white paper,
White
right?
paper, $5 bags.
Somebody came and said, "Man, put this in a blunt." And so you got to think about, man, if there's anything out there that's purposely designed to destroy us, and that's not what I'm saying. I want to be clear. It's going to be positioned or placed in a way that we gotta have it, or we got easy access to it. If you go to a gas station in the hood, they may have more different types of cigar tobacco paper than they would medicine. Or, they may have these certain type of chips that's so unhealthy. So if you look at that, that's not on a certain side of Atlanta. You're not going to see that on a certain part of Atlanta. So when you look at that, you wonder, why are they serving that here?
Well, I mean, I just got to be real. Black man, 60 years. The system was set up, right, for us to hate ourselves, for us to be limited in some respects. And it was purposeful from its beginning. And it had continued to be purposeful for a long time. So there may be purpose behind it now, but regardless of that, we got to take what exists and say, we're going to demand our right, as Malcolm said, to be a human being and to be respected as a human being. One of the things that was taught to the black man during slavery was to hate himself. How important is it to your work to get the young man to see themselves as noble and worthy and that kind of stuff?
Just this presence.
Yeah.
You got to think about this. Most young men that I work with has never seen or had this kind of relationship with a black man that graduated from college. And they often live what they learn. And so if you are present, that's why I'm very careful, very selective about the mentors that I bring there, because it's presentation with them. We go back to the social media. We go back to the music. We go back to the presentation, the appearance of a rapper. They are so impressionable, right? Like, they may come out to be rough, but they just have the minds of a 9, 10-year-old. They just might like somebody because they got a nice car or because they got nice jewelry. But I think we just got to show presence, man. We got to get, somebody asked me, I was interviewing for a magazine about a month ago, and they asked me, like, what's so unique about me that allows me to do this type of work, right? Where I can go and just divert 100 years of prison time a week. And what I said to them was, years ago, I realized about 2 weeks after I graduated from college is that I am the very first person on my mom's side of the family that's ever attended college, dating back 100 plus years. On my dad's side of the family, so my dad quit school 6th grade. My mom quit school 9th grade. So growing up, I didn't have parents to help me. They were saved. They loved the Lord, worked hard every day, but education or just intelligence, they had like just that old school, just figuring stuff out. I didn't have parents to help me with my math problem. So I, at an early age, was a trendsetter. So because of the fact that I grew up and I was able to overcome a lot of poverty, we wasn't breaking in homes and stealing cars and robbing and all that. We were just all poor. So nobody had money. So I'm breaking in his house and they're going to be in there, right? But I was always a trendsetter, man. And I've always just been the type of person where if I can just not put so much pressure on me to be this perfect person, but just do things the right way.
Yeah. I could order lunch and talk with you all afternoon, but my last question for you.
Okay.
You mentioned diverting time. I need the audience to understand what that means, because you're talking about substantial years of human beings' lives that you're able to make disappear, in a sense.
Yeah, man. So you're the lawyer. So you know the language, right? So when you're talking about suspending the sentence, I give you an example. So if it's a young man if a young man is charged with armed robbery, so that's armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a firearm, with the commission of a felony, and all these other things. And so what happens is, again, I'm going to be clear, if there's evidence that you committed this crime, you got to go to prison unless you can go to trial and beat it. But there are a group of young men out here that comes to me. They are good young men who get caught in bad situations, running with the partner, running with the wrong crowd. So the dude that goes to commit the armed robbery at the gas station, that don't get out the car, that's the guy I get. And let's just say, because when one person is the party to the crime, so if 3 people in the car and one goes and rob, everybody gets the charge when the cop pulled them over. Let's just say the kid in the back seat got you as a lawyer, and you may say, hey, look, there's a program that we want the courts to get him involved in as a condition of his bond. And what the judge does, say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to give Stephen a bond with the conditions of him to attend and participate in the Next Level Boys Academy. Now, here's what we didn't talk about, what takes place when you get to me. There's
You said you would do a part 2, bro.
I will do a part 2 as long as the snow is not doing. So as a matter of fact, man, I think that's be a good stopping point. I will commit to a part 2.
Okay.
Just make sure there's no snow in the weather.
I'm with you.
I just cleaned my car. I got all the
We're
dust.
gonna love having you here. Can I get an amen? Can I get a clap?
I think what we'll do, this is what we'll do on part 2. I think this is what I think we'll do. Now that I see your setup, man, and I think she's been in a class. What do you think about if we did this like during a class?
Like where all the
He says yes.
Now, let me just explain something to you.
We follow the rules now, yeah.
This is not your typical.
I got you.
How would you describe it?
different.
No, because you think of mentoring, you're thinking of, man, we just going out there just telling somebody, pull their pants up, stop smoking weed, wear your hair. No. You're talking about 2 hours of nonstop issue. And here's the thing. Everything that goes on at home, in the trap, at the dope house, we talk about it openly.
I got you. So you gotta, what's that word that they use? You gotta, like they're doing with the Epstein files I just saw. You gotta weed through it and make sure that there's nothing there.
I think what we can do with a part 2 is, and I know you all, I think you say y'all are mobile, right?
Yeah, we can come up. We can be mobile.
I think what we'd do, we would probably bring you all in at the latter part of a class. So the class ends at 11. And so we'll set the podcast up. I mean, we have chairs and all that. You just bring your equipment. And in the next part 2, we'll bring a young man and a mom.
Okay.
And we'll just do a part 2 and say, okay, as we talked about, as I direct your podcast, as we talked about in part 1 about the diversion program, now we have a mom and son here who actually went through it.
Wow.
And they're going to tell you what the experience is. We'll go right into that.
I'm with it. Well, thank you for joining us for part 1.
I got it.
Eric Davis.
I got it, man. But listen, so I want to just, I want to leave this tip. So to the mothers and all the fathers out there who are raising a son, Raising a son is probably one of the most difficult things that you're going to ever do because there's no, just like all of our other kids, there's no manual that comes with that. Everything gets a manual with the exception of raising a child. You get a manual when you buy your car. You get a manual when you get a refrigerator. But you don't get that when you're raising a son and or a daughter. But this would never, ever work. Or it will work, but it would become extremely complicated without both parents getting on the same page as it relates to their child. Moms, if you think that you've done all you know to do, and there's nothing else you can do as it relates to your son, join us. The way that our program works outside of the diversion program, which is alternative to incarceration. So if you have a son that's just in need of mentorship, we don't have these long, extended registration forms. You just show up. We're just like the church. You show up, you sign in, we greet you with love. We'll even give you a sausage biscuit when you come there. And we have a bunch of love. So we love from the moment you pull into the parking lot to when you sign in and when you go back in the room. And what makes this program so special? There's about 200 or 300 people associated with this program, and we have a room full of imperfect folks. That's what makes us special. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Justice Conversations. Please connect with us on social media and all platforms, and look forward to part 2 of this interview.
Justice conversations. We talking back and forth like it's just us in conversation. Let's start the conversation. It's just my observation. They run this nation with hatred like we not one creation. Maybe we all in the matrix. I need some confirmation. You feel these streets getting hotter like it's summer vacation. Justice conversations.